Hello, my friends. So Amberlynn has uploaded her 7th weekly weigh-in, and it's it's titled Cracker Barrel Gate, which I'm guessing is the whole cookie situation type deal, where there were 5 in a package. But the part that's getting me is no longer weighing in or counting calories. Yeah, girl, I don't think you've been doing those things for a while. And we all knew as soon as she said, I'm counting calories, we all, like collectively, were like, no, you won't. You'll do it for a little bit, but it's a little bit difficult. It's something you have to stick to. So of course you're not gonna count calories. The absolute delusion that she thinks that she will actually stick to counting calories, it blows my mind. How can you be this delusional? I don't know, but anyway, let's at least see what she has to say about the Cracker Barrel Gate. If you'd like to like and subscribe, that would literally be hectic. I'm not gonna lie.
Guys, welcome to another weigh-in video. All right, let's get straight into the questions. How has your BE improved? So I noticed, even though I did outpatient for only a few months, I noticed that like the tools, the knowledge, and the things that I talked about in outpatient during that time started helping me.
So this is the same person that when she was trying to get weight loss surgery, she just decided she didn't have BED anymore. She didn't have bee eating tendencies, you know?
Because I know a lot of people have different thoughts about it, and it's just safer if I don't talk about it. But I am not a binge eater. I do not have binge eating disorder. And obviously it's taken some time to realize that, because with someone my size, I mean, I overeat, obviously. I showed you guys a binge, I think it was in December, and you guys were like, that's just a normal meal. So the way that I see binging is very different than the standard binging. And that's been hard for me to like wrap my head around. The psychologist said, you know, binging is eating 3 times what you normally would as a person, not what is a normal amount to eat as a person, but you, what is your normal? And I don't do that. That I don't do. I overeat, sure, but I never eat 3 times or 4 times the amount that I normally would eat. This whole being diagnosed with binge eating has been very strange.
That's not me. I just overeat, you guys. That's different. That's totally different, because I have decided that binge eating is this very specific thing, and that is not exactly what I do, so I don't have it. But yeah, her outpatient, she went just long enough for them to say, give in to your cravings, and she was like, cool, I'm done. That's all I needed to hear. Bye.
But genuinely, all the credit goes to the 9 months of therapy I did with a psychologist when I was going to get weight loss surgery. I was only supposed to see that psychologist for 3 months, but I kept going because it genuinely was like changing my life, and it's still...
I just don't believe her, right? When she goes, I kept going. When she gets all actor Lynn and over exaggerates, she's lying. I just don't believe she went as long as she's saying, and I just don't think she went long enough to really get anything out of it.
That's a psychologist that diagnosed me with BPD. Now I'm aware, and that's like the first thing that you need to do when you're a borderline.
Notice how she says, when you're a borderline. To me, it feels like she's just really trying to be a part of something. Like by saying, oh, you guys just wouldn't understand. Us borderlines just have to deal with this. It sort of makes her feel like she's part of the club. You know, she never really had many friends as far as we know, which I think we all know why. But I think by claiming herself as a borderline, quote unquote, she can sort of feel like she's part of something that's unique and quirky and special.
Is you need to have that awareness, because without the awareness, you're like, what's the problem? There's nothing wrong with me. You can have tiny little moments of like, okay, something seems off. What's wrong with me? But I don't really know what. It's the awareness that really helps. All right, let's not talk about that though. That's not what this video is about. That psychologist genuinely like changed my life. Yes, I still overeat. Yes, I still have issues.
Nothing has changed. You have gained weight since then. How is that changing your life? I'm sorry, but he did not change your life. Just point blank period. You can change your mind all you want, but until your behavior changes, nothing has changed. So I guess the only explanation that makes sense for why she's saying he changed her life is because now she doesn't feel so bad about giving into her cravings. She gives herself permission to do those things. So, I mean, I guess she doesn't have to feel guilty all the time.
But the BE, like, I don't do that. I'm not saying I'm perfect by any means. What I am saying is those 9 months drastically helped me. And then since then, I have done on and off therapy, and I've done on and off working on myself, whether it be workbooks or just like the daily journaling. Like,
So doing workbooks doesn't help you at all if you don't have somebody to guide you through them. Because think about it, she marked everything extreme in that BPD workbook. She marked that she has all 9 criteria and that she's extreme on all of them.
Because as you guys know, I suffer with all 9 out of the 9 listed in the criteria, which is very unfortunate and it's hard to handle. So the intensity and severity of each part of the criteria is unique to each person. So I had to answer a ton of questions to see like where you fall on the spectrum, and I fell on extreme.
But if you watched my interview with a therapist that actually specializes in personality disorders, you will know that somebody that has all 9 criteria, first of all, is very rare. But if they're extreme in all those criteria, their life is just completely in shambles. Generally speaking, they are in and out of the hospital, lots of unaliving ideations. It's just a mess. This is not that, right? This person is not that. But in her workbook, she says that she is. So the workbook is not doing her a damn bit of good because there's nobody to sort of walk her through it and explain what she's dealing with or what to do with it. And of course, since it's self-reporting, she's going to make it seem as bad as humanly possible because she's Amberlynn Reed. So when she says she's done work on herself, that doesn't mean anything. She's just giving herself positive affirmations or convincing herself there's more wrong with her than there really is. And then on and off therapy is more like off and off therapy. I think she sees a therapist once or twice and then skedaddles, you know?
The daily journaling, like finding coping mechanisms is literally going to change your life if you struggle with BE. Like it's hard, obviously, but
she acts like she's an expert. Oh my God, that's really frustrating that she is out here talking to her audience who are generally pretty young from what we can tell, and she is acting like she knows what she's talking about. But she has never stuck with anything. She is 520 something pounds, and she's acting like she's a fucking expert on weight loss and coping mechanisms and dealing with BED. She is probably the furthest from knowing what she's talking about that anybody has ever been. I will say that's a great shot though. Got her.
I've improved drastically in that area. Do you ever do the lymphatic massages for your illnesses? So by illnesses, I'm pretty sure they mean my lipedema and lymphedema. And I do, but it is hard to do on your own self. So I do the best I can, but it's not something that I do like religiously because like I said, it is very hard to do like by myself. And I'm not gonna ask anyone to do it for me because that is my job. Why are you not allowed to be on estrogen?
So, I mean, that may be legit, right? Saying it's hard to do on your own, whatever, that's fine. But there are so many things that she could do to help with lymphedema if she had it. But she refuses. And we go back to that whole gallbladder thing where she can't eat keto because her doctor said she can't have high fat intake. So she eats shit like this. And this is like a day after she said she can't do keto because her doctor told her to stay away from fat. So she refuses to do anything that would help any condition that she has ever, because that would require some effort and work. And you know, she's not going to do any of that.
Estrogen. So some cancers actually feed off of estrogen, and the cancer that I was diagnosed with and the stage and grade that it was at, it was feeding off of estrogen.
So that may be true. I don't know. I really don't care, but it is just as likely that she just heard that somewhere and decided again that it's quirky and unique and decided that she wants to run with that. So I don't know.
Does your mom grocery shop with you? Sometimes. I would say 9 times out of 10 she does, but we both have our own cart. She goes her own way, I go my own way. It's like killing 2 birds with 1 stone because she gets what she needs, I get what I need, and then we usually meet each other out at the car when we're done. Did you order?
So if her mom doesn't grocery shop with her, how the hell does she get there? Because I'm pretty sure what that question was meaning to ask is, does your mom take you to grocery shop? And that's obviously a yes, because you know she's not paying for an Uber to take her to the grocery store and then either pay for them to stay there while she shops or pay for another Uber to then load up groceries into. That's just not going to happen. So obviously her mom is taking her. So I think what's happening here is she tried to prove that she doesn't use scooters in a recent video. And the proof was her walking with a cart.
Hello, jump scare. I'm at the grocery store and I just met the sweetest subscriber. She was so pretty with the cutest little piercings.
Her standing near a cart.
It didn't fit.
And then her checking out, holding onto a cart.
Do. Here is a time lapse, and here is some music to go with the time lapse.
Now, it didn't really prove anything because we all knew her mom is there. Her mom is at the grocery store. So whether they're shopping together doesn't matter. Her mom was there. So it's very likely that if Amberlynn is using the scooter, Mama Lynn's got a cart, Amberlynn's got the scooter, and then when it's time to pretend like she's not using the scooter, she stands up and stands by the cart or whatever. So I think what she was trying to do by saying her mom doesn't shop with her is kind of distance herself from her mom at the grocery store. But it doesn't really matter if your mom is in the toy section and you're in the grocery section. At some point, you guys meet up, and that is very likely, or could easily be, when you start taking pictures of yourself near the cart. Because there is a second person there who could be pushing a cart while you're on a scooter. She's just bad at proving anything. Did you order 5 cookies from Cracker Barrel? Oh, I am going to love whatever stupid bullshit excuse she has here. Let's see.
5 cookies from Cracker Barrel. So Cookie Gate was happening in my live stream, which I literally just ended my live stream. So that just ended and now we're here. I was so confused because people were saying I had 9 cookies and people were saying I had 12 cookies. I was genuinely lost.
So from what I could gather, Jordy looked into the cookie that she ordered from Cracker Barrel because I think they were looking to see how many like calories there were and stuff. Unfortunately, I'm rarely ever able to catch a Jordy live because that's about the time that my kids are starting to go to bed, and that's when I spend time with the kids. You know, we're watching movies together or playing games together or whatever. So it's very rare that I get to catch them live. But from what I understand, they were kind of figuring out how many calories that meal was, and then they looked for the cookie, and it turns out that that cookie only comes in like a 5 or a 10 pack or something like that, but at least a 5 pack. Like that's the only way you could get it.
But I guess it turns out that people saw somewhere that the only way you can order chocolate chip cookies is if you order 5 or 10 at a time, which before I even found that out, I was trying to explain that the only reason why I had a chocolate chip cookie was because I was trying to get these like beignets. They just looked and sounded so good at the time. But when I went to order it and then the DoorDasher went to go get it, turns out they didn't have those. And I was like, okay. So I messaged back.
So beignets are a little better on calories, but she's still sort of going through some mental gymnastics to make this make sense.
And I was like, do they have chocolate chip cookies? I'll take one of those. And then they just gave me a chocolate chip cookie. So no, I didn't have 5 or 9 or 12 chocolate chip cookies. I just had one. All right.
So hang on. Amberlynn talks about every single thing that happens to her, no matter how insignificant it is. So because she has no life, nothing interesting ever happens to her. So she makes the smallest, most insignificant things seem interesting, or she tries to. So if she had ordered some beignets and they didn't have it, and they ended up giving her a cookie, she would have said that. I guarantee you that when she was explaining her meal or showing her meal from Cracker Barrel, she would have said, I really wanted these beignets because that's very quirky and cool, right? She's like, I want a beignet because a beignet is very classy, you guys. And she would have told us the whole experience at the time. What she did just now was just make that shit up to try to cover for the fact that she absolutely ate 5 cookies. She did. I would bet my bottom dollar she ate 5 cookies.
Let's get into the goals that I had last week. My goal was literally just to look into GLP-1s, and I have done that. So if you haven't watched...
What does she have to look into? She's already done it 3 times. What? She's acting like this is the first time.
Any of my last videos from the last week, literally, I signed up, I did the questionnaire, I was fixing to get approved for a GLP-1, which has been very easy for me in the past. But this company asked about my gallbladder. I told them I had gallstones over a decade ago, and they denied me.
Why doesn't she just have her gallbladder removed? I mean, maybe it's because of her size. It would be dangerous to go into surgery or something like that, but that's a pretty simple procedure. In fact, I think they can do it laparoscopically now. Yes, as a matter of fact, they can. If her gallbladder is the cause of almost every problem she has, seems like she would look into getting it removed.
And I almost gave up, but instead I was like, you know what? I'm going to be an advocate for myself. I genuinely believe the possible reoccurrence of a gallstone.
Whoever taught her the phrase, I need to be an advocate for myself, that was a bad move. You've just empowered a narcissist to just bug people until she gets what she wants.
Is less severe than me staying the size. They did not respond to me, so I'm over it. Okay, cool.
Which means she's just going to go somewhere else because she will doctor shop until she gets what she wants.
So that brings me into my goals for this week. My first goal is that I want to talk to my doctor and make an appointment and talk about GLP-1s and see what he thinks. I'm willing to closely monitor my gallbladder if that will make him feel more.
Yeah, okay. She's willing to nothing. She's willing to do nothing. Any extra work, she's not going to do at all. So there are a couple of possibilities of things that are going to happen here. Scenario one is she's going to go to a doctor, not her doctor, but a doctor, because I don't think she has a PCP or primary care physician. So she's going to go to a doctor and not tell them about her gallbladder so she can get on GLP-1 and they'll just approve her and everything will be hunky-dory until she quits and she ends up right where she is right now in a few weeks. Scenario two is she's going to go to a doctor or her doctor or whatever. I still don't think she has her own, but if she brings up the gallbladder or somehow they find out about her gallbladder and they don't approve her for it, she's just going to go to a med spa and she's going to get whatever she wants and she's going to quit in a few weeks and be right back where she was in no time. So either way, in about a month, regardless of what she does, we're going to end up right back where we were, just like always.
Safe about putting me on a GLP-1. Number two, I want to just work on my relationship with food, period. Number three, stop the daily weigh-ins.
Work on it, guys. That's, I mean, you know, those goals, those really vague goals, work on a thing. I'm going to work on making more money. You know, that sounds good. Just work on making more money. If more people did that, there would be less poor people. Come on, just work on stuff. That's all you got to do. Obviously, just work on things. I don't really know what she could possibly mean by that. Like, I know what it's supposed to mean, but in Amber's vocabulary, work on something is probably just to like think about it a little bit and then just do whatever you want anyway. That's what's great about goals, you know? You just make them so vague that they're completely meaningless. Work on my relationship with food. Yeah, that is an attainable goal. You know, there's a good way to measure that.
Number two, I want to just work on my relationship with food, period. Number three, stop the daily weigh-ins and just weigh myself once a week. All right.
So if she could work on her relationship with food, why hasn't she done that already? Right? If that was something she was capable of doing, she would have done it by now.
Okay, so now let's talk about how my week went. So last week I was feeling shitty, I was feeling defeated, I was feeling overwhelmed, I was feeling like I was drowning, I was depressed, I was low. I genuinely was not in a good place and I feel so much better. Like I feel like I can breathe again. I feel like I have reached the surface of the water and I am no longer drowning. Like I hate when I reach lows like that because it reflects in all of my life and I try very hard.
You know, I would think that maybe it was some sort of actual mental illness or some sort of, you know, mental health issue. But it also coincided with her cellulitis. So the odds very much are that she just didn't feel well.
To put on a smile and to still be positive and happy. And sometimes it's hard. It's a scary feeling, but I feel a lot better and I'm just very happy about that. So I decided in the middle of last week that I will no longer be doing daily weigh-ins because they were messing with my head. I also decided that I will no longer be counting calories. I will strictly be focusing on weighing myself once a week while working.
I'm surprised. Are you surprised? She's not counting calories anymore. Man, I really thought this one would last forever. I thought she would count calories and measure her food and weigh her food until the end of time. But man, she gave up. That's weird.
Working on my relationship with food. Instead of treating food like it's the problem, the reality is that I'm the problem. Nothing I do regarding losing weight will ever be successful unless I work on that relationship. Losing weight.
Yeah, she can say she's the problem all she wants, but she doesn't do anything about it. She doesn't actually try to fix the problems that are causing her poor relationship with food. And just saying I need to work on it means nothing.
Weight is extremely important. That is how I'm going to save my life. But the only way I can lose weight is, like I said, working on that relationship with food. So that is going to be my main focus. I'm still going to continue the weigh-ins for you guys every single.
What does that even mean? What does it even mean to say I'm going to work on my relationship with food? Yeah, that's the point. That has been the problem your entire life. If you could work on it and it would actually have some sort of positive outcome, it would have happened by now. It's almost like toxic positivity jargon. I just need to work on my relationship with food. Problem solved, you guys. I figured it out. Obviously, you need to work on your relationship with food, but what does that mean?
Week. But by working on the relationship, the symptom, which has been the weight gain, that is going to improve, which will then be weight loss. And by working on my relationship with food, I want to use a tool like GLP-1. But on the side, I want to take all the tools that I've ever learned from having a dietitian and outpatient and taking those tools and realizing that food is fuel. You have to eat to live, not live to eat. I still want to enjoy food. I don't want to think of food as a bad.
I mean, there you go. She does this every time she has this new outlook on life, right? She's done this so many times where she's had all these revelations. You know, I figured it out, guys. I need to do this and this and this, and that will solve all my problems. I'll start losing weight like crazy. You'll see. And then she always adds a caveat of, I mean, I'm not going to be perfect. Or, I mean, I still want to enjoy food. Because she can say all she wants that she's afraid that she's going to not live a long life or that she's past the point of no return or whatever. But as dire as that all sounds, none of that matters to her nearly as much as enjoying her yum-yums.
That is where I know that my relationship with food is not going to be good. So by working on my relationship with food, I need to take the actions into doing so. And as I do them, I will talk to you guys more about it. But as of right now, I want to treat my body better. I want to nourish my body the way that we are supposed to. Anyways, I feel like I could talk about this for like 9 million years. So let's move on to the weigh-in. Last week,
she wants to nourish her body the way we're supposed to. Yeah, you can want that all you want, but that doesn't mean you're going to do it. You never have. You've never done it. And that's where the delusion comes in, because I think every time she says this kind of stuff, she really believes it. She is convinced that she's got it figured out. You know, all she has to do is work on her relationship with food. She's got to just nourish her body the way she's supposed to. Like, she thinks that she's got the answers now and that it's going to change her life. So I don't know, man. The delusion is staggering.
last week I was 514.2 and this week I was 516.2. In the middle of the week, I did get down to 513. So I'm noticing I am just fluctuating right now and I'm not going to beat myself up for it because progress isn't just, lose weight every single day. Progress is very much lose some.
It could be. It absolutely could be if you were actually doing what you're supposed to do. And this is it, man. This is what she does. She gives herself an out. No matter what's happening, she always gives herself an out so that she can go, it's fine. You know, it's not going to be perfect. So, and that way she can quit anytime she wants. And she won't actually hold herself accountable for the actions and the choices she actually needs to make.
Some, gain some, lose some, gain some. Anyways, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Got her. I mean, I don't know what to say other than just the delusion is baffling with her. It just continues and it gets worse and worse every time she does this. Every time she gets to the point where she's like, yeah, you guys, I think I know what to do now. You know, after failing all these times, I think I've got it this time. And then she says the exact same thing she said 5,000 times before. It would not be concerning if it wasn't pretty obvious that she really is convinced that she's got it figured out. Just like she was convinced last time, just like she was convinced the time before that, and the 500 times before that. Every time she really thinks this time is different. You know, however, there is a non-zero chance that she is doing this over and over and over again, knowing full well that she has no intention of losing weight, and it's just sort of a way to get attention, or trolling, or she may be afraid to lose weight because she thinks she's going to lose her audience or something. So I could be wrong. She could not be convinced at all, and this could all just be for show. But I don't know, man. She's not a very good liar. So I think she really is convinced that she's got it figured out every single time. And the funny thing is, the video that was after the one that got taken down, when she was saying, I'm lying to myself, and she said, I need help, but she's not going to actually do any of that. She's not going to get help. She's not going to do the work needed to make any meaningful change. But I think the biggest example of her delusion in this video was when she said that the psychologist changed her life, because there has been literally zero change in her life other than some external things like having a girlfriend for a little bit and then breaking up, and then, you know, a lot of just stuff that happens in life. But as far as her behavior and the way she approaches food and her health and stuff like that, nothing has changed. But she's convinced that he changed her life. I don't know where she's getting that or what she's talking about, but I haven't seen any changes. But anyway, I appreciate you guys so much. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.